रेडी? आगे आ जाओ, बोल के आप भी आगे आ जाओ भाई, इधर आ जाओ, इस साइड आ जाओ। देखो कुछ वर्ड्स है जो आप पहले भी यूज कर चुके हो। एक वर्ड आता है उसमें से फर्स्ट। लूप यूज करते हैं फर्स्ट के लिए हम। फर्स्ट जब आप बनाते हो तो उसकी डायरेक्शन का बड़ा ध्यान रखते हैं। फर्स्ट कभी भी इस डायरेक्शन में नहीं बनाना होता कि आप उसको फर्स्ट को ऐसे बनाओ। फर्स्ट हमेशा इस डायरेक्शन में बनाते हैं, ये लूप ऐसे तिरछा करके, टिल्ट करके थोड़ा सा, ताकि इसके साथ जब ज्वाइनिंग आती है तो बड़ी आसानी से ज्वाइनिंग हो जाती है। फर्स्ट के साथ आता है जनरली ज्वाइनिंग में फर्स्ट क्लास आ जाता है, तो फर्स्ट में ही आप क्लास लगाते हो, फर्स्ट क्लास। फर्स्ट थिंग एनजी डार्क कर देते हैं, फुल साइज है। अगर आपने इसके साइज को हाफ कर दिया तो हो जाएगा फर्स्ट हैंड। फर्स्ट थिंग, फर्स्ट हैंड, फर्स्ट इंस्टेंस, फर्स्ट एड, फर्स्ट एड, फर्स्ट पोजीशन, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, डार्क रखेंगे, इस डैश को डार्क रखेंगे। फर्स्ट प्लेस, फर्स्ट क्वालिटी, फर्स्ट हैंड इंफॉर्मेशन। फर्स्ट हैंड में इंफॉर्मेशन जोड़ देना, ये फर्स्ट हैंड हो गया था, ये इंफॉर्मेशन। फर्स्ट एवर, वी लगा देंगे डार्क करके। फर्स्ट एंड लास्ट, इसमें लूप अंदर ले जाएंगे, फर्स्ट एंड लास्ट। फर्स्ट एंड फॉरमोस्ट, फर्स्ट एंड फॉरमोस्ट। आप बना लेंगे फर्स्ट का यूज करके, बनाओ। फर्स्ट, फर्स्ट एवर, फर्स्ट थिंग, फर्स्ट इंस्टेंस, फर्स्ट हैंड इंफॉर्मेशन, फर्स्ट क्वालिटी, फर्स्ट क्लास, फर्स्ट एड, फर्स्ट एंड फॉरमोस्ट, फर्स्ट प्लेस, फर्स्ट हैंड, फर्स्ट हैंड इंफॉर्मेशन, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, फर्स्ट पोजीशन, फर्स्ट एंड लास्ट। अब आप डिक्टेशन लिखेंगे। जो डिक्टेशन का आपको सेट है वो अवेलेबल रहेगा इस यूआरएल पे 3pprogram.steno.18 पे। SSC C&D ग्रेड 32 U2 @ 100 और @80 दोनों डिक्टेशन अलग अलग बोली जाएगी, दोनों विद कोमा के साथ अवेलेबल है इसके अंदर। पहले 100 भी लिखेंगे, 100 के आसपास। रेडी? Mr. Vice Chairman, sir, this year the President's address given to the Parliament gives a well-conceived, well-prepared picture of the nation. I rise to support the motion of thanks that this year has faced a severe drought. Then he points out to the danger of internal and external forces that remind us of the secessionist tendencies, but of all the people, of all the political parties existing in different parts of the country. In his speech, he has tried to remind us of the promises made in our Constitution. It is our sacred duty to see that those promises are fulfilled. He has said that the ideals of secularism and socialism are enshrined in our Constitution. These values have to be upheld, and above all, integration of the nation is also to be upheld. Sir, it is time that we did not discuss matters out of emotion. When we speak emotionally, we forget these high goals, we forget reality and rationalism. Sometimes it is necessary to see that healthy criticism is there. It is required in a democracy to rectify mistakes of a government. It is a welcome feature, but when we speak emotionally, we forget these fundamental facts, and obviously we commit mistakes. Here we should remember that we are speaking in the highest supreme body of the nation, where the future of the nation is to be built. When we are discussing all these things in this house about the goals of the nation, about the development of the national life, the whole world is watching us. So, this factor has always to be kept in mind. Now, coming to the second point about the external dangers, we know of the terrorists in the border states. Sometimes they are assisted by certain outside powers who are not happy with our development. Sometimes they are provided with the latest weaponry with ulterior motives. These things have been discussed in the house and they need not be repeated here. But we cannot be blind to ourselves. We have to look to these aspects. Many of the honorable members have made a mention of these things, and we must be prepared for everything. Sometimes they are supplied with sophisticated weapons. Superpowers are helping them, so we must be careful and watchful. Another thing is about the secessionist tendencies supported under the cover of religious fundamentalism abetted by foreign agencies. This must be curbed. That is the greatest danger in our country today. Sometimes chauvinism, regional and linguistic favors create very dangerous tendencies, and if we do not think of all these things, these may come out as hydra-headed creatures in future and create many a splitting situation in the national picture, for which we will be blamed in future. Whoever is in power, it is the responsibility of all citizens, all political parties, to look into these factors which have been rightly pointed out in the President's address. This year, something in the Green Revolution, we could come out of it. Out of 35 climatic zones, 23 zones suffered from sanctity, rainfall and drought, and some parts of the country faced floods also. There was loss of crops and damage to crops. Production was much less because we had a buffer stock of 23 million tons, which was sound planning, and the Green Revolution had achieved something the country could face this difficult situation. At the same time, many honorable members have brought out in this house that the Kisans are unhappy. They are vibrating with new ideas, new expressions of rising expectations. What are their problems? Anybody who goes to the villages comes to know that the balance of trade or the balance of economic situation is not in their favor. The prices are rising and they are not getting justice. That is their feeling. Still worse is the plight of small and marginal farmers. The government is spending a lot on subsidies for food sufficiency by way of subsidized fertilizers and other things, but their share is much less. The dryland farmer and the small and marginal farmer have to do distress sales because in our country there is no proper marketing organization to help them. Unfortunately, we had thought that the cooperatives would develop, but they have not developed and the marketing agencies have not developed. So, they are the worst sufferers in this situation of rising prices. The other sectors enjoy a favorable position. They can command the economy. The farmers are very much discontented, for which we have to take proper precautions. That is what I want to submit through this Honorable House to the government. Mr. Chairman, I rise to support this resolution because this matter has to be considered and reconsidered as planning goes on. Right at the beginning, I must say that this village industry, despite all brave talk on the part of the Planning Commission and the government, has been given a backseat by the Planning Commission, and I think a lot has to be done in order to reorientate the entire approach with regard to village industries. I generally agree with much of what has been said by the two speakers who have preceded me, and I should like to add a few suggestions to what they have said. Now, even when we were fighting the British, one of the indictments against the British rule was that it led to the ruination of our village and cottage industries. This criticism was absolutely justified, and the meaning of it was not fully seen at the time, perhaps as it is seen today after independence. We have embarked on a policy of industrialization of the country, but in an underdeveloped economy like this, where we have got nearly 82% or a little more of the population living in the villages, you cannot have rapid industrialization merely by starting heavy industries or even medium industries in the urban areas and towns, whether they be in the public sector or in the private sector. कंटेंट 1060 के आसपास वर्ड के साथ बोला गया है, स्पीड 100 की है, फ्लक्चुएशन लगभग ना के बराबर है. अब आप 80 पे लिखेंगे. रेडी? Start it. Sir, there are three factors connected with industrial relations. Firstly, sir, the management and officers should know the norms of industrial relations. I do not find any training program for training how to deal with the staff or how to deal with problems expeditiously. If they do not change their outlook, if they do not attend to the grievances in time, they will ultimately accumulate and create a grave crisis, and we shall again be falling in some trap, and strikes will become an annual feature, or there will be strikes many times. Secondly, sir, there are large number of unions. Last time a meeting was called of all the unions. There are craft-wise unions, station masters union, ticket collectors union, and so many others, and there is much scope for politicians and others to multiply unions, because the occupations are 700 to 800. There are only two federations. The railways have not taken steps to eliminate multiplicity of unions. Unless this is done, there can be no concrete results. In order to make collective bargaining successful, I feel that the policy of industrial relations and industry-wise unions should extend to this. The scheduled castes and scheduled tribes want their separate union, and the tribal people also want their separate union in the railways. I feel, sir, that they must be completely banned. There should be large industrial unions which can deliver the goods and which alone can create an atmosphere of good relations between the railways and their employees. Sir, the third thing I would like to suggest is that they must find out the bottlenecks. But there is no attempt. There is no wage policy. Today, the people belonging to scheduled castes and scheduled tribes are employed as contingent or casual labor in many places, and they are paid the wages which the collector in each district fixes. This contingent labor, consisting of 2 or 3 lakh people at different places, is paid 50% less than what regular employees are paid or what the all India pay scale is. They have been working for years and are getting different wages in different districts depending upon the minimum wage or the collector fixing the pay scales and wages in that state. Discrimination is very great. I would like the minister to look into the matter. The contingent labor should be paid at par with other railway employees. Sir, another point which is very important is about the promises given by the railways at the time of strike. A large number of people, when the interests of the nation were in danger, staked their lives. They were on duty. Many were assaulted. At the time, a promise was given that their children or their dependents will get priority in employment. But instead of that, after the strike was over, many of them were assaulted. I would like to know from the Honorable Minister what happened to the promises given by him to the employees who were on duty, who staked their lives. How many people and how many of their dependents have been given jobs in the last 1 year? If the promises given to them at a crucial time are not fulfilled, the government will lose its credibility and the workers will not be able to do their duty of good and happy industrial relations. BOSIM must go. In all the modern countries, industrial relations have become successful because the officers treat their employees on equal basis and informally. They help them to solve their problems. Therefore, the attitude of the officers in improving the industrial relations in this vital sector of economy. I would also ask, why should the government or the railway administration feel shy in applying the Industrial Dispute Act to its employees? No reference adjudication to the industrial tribunal or any machinery under the industrial law. Railways being the biggest transport industry, they should accept as a norm of industrial relations that their problems will also be referred to adjudication machinery available in our country. Small things like termination or suspension may not be very big or important from the railway administration point of view, but it is of vital importance to the individual employee who is suspended for months and years together and does not get any redress. He has to rely upon the mercy of the deciding authorities. It may take 1 or 2 years. In the state from which I come, under the Bombay Industrial Relations Act, if a man is terminated from service or dismissed, he can go to the labor court and his grievance can be looked into within 3 months. If it is found that he has been wrongly dismissed, he can be reinstated. This is a great deterrent for officers acting arbitrarily. I therefore suggest that norms must be laid down for industrial relations. ये 80 की स्पीड है, फ्लक्चुएशंस 85, 5 की फ्लक्चुएशंस है ऊपर नीचे। अगर आपने दोनों में से कोई भी अच्छा लगा वो टाइप करेंगे, नहीं तो उधर बैठेंगे डिक्टेशन रूम में और अपना सीन कंटेंट को डिक्टेशन के रूप में लेंगे। और जो टेस्ट दिया था वो वेडनेसडे को जमा होगा, जो टेस्ट दिया था वो नेक्स्ट वेडनेसडे नेक्स्ट मिल जाएगा फिर आपको।